Now third question is with respect to karyotype analysis. Now that means it is one of the aspects with respect to man family studies. Right? You would have studied in 9.1 man family studies. Now in that context we have number of methodologies which are seen. And in that dimension we see one is with respect to karyotype. What is a karyotype? Karyotype is nothing but the arrangement of chromosomes. Arrangement of chromosomes, and we see the arrangement of chromosomes is what is considered to be in the process of construction of an ideogram. And when you look at this construction of an ideogram, I have a whole lot of procedure which is seen to be existing. Right? I would see the mitotic division, or the mitotic division is seen to be arrested by using culture sign. And once I am going to arrest this particular process by using culture sign, then from there I am going to look into the observations, then I am going to arrange it according to the telomere, according to the centromeric position which is seen there. Now in that context I am going to construct my ideogram. Ideogram is nothing but what? The different arrangements of the chromosomes, and at the end I am going to have my sex chromosomes which are arranged, right? Because I know 22 plus 1 pair. 22 pairs plus 1 pair, and the 1 pair is your sex chromosomes which are generally seen to be arranged in the context of ideogram. Now once you discuss about that, they are asking you about how does it help in diagnosis of chromosomal aberrations in human beings. Now always remember, whenever we come across chromosomal aberrations or any question from 9.1 to 9.4, one thing that is very, very important that has to be remembered is I will have to draw my inheritance charts. If I am not talking about the filial generations, filial generation 1, filial generation 2, and from there the genotypic composition, from there the respective recombination that is seen to be happening. Now the simplest diagram that I can show is what, my dear? I can simply show this diagram. Now you know the necessary recombinations keeps happening. In general, when I see if there is anaphase lagging, or if there is improper cell division that is happening, or if there is longitudinal non-disjunction which is seen to be happening with respect to your chromosomes, I can see what? It can be such that, and this can be the general observation. Now in this, I see chromosomal aberrations coming into the picture. What are the chromosomal aberrations? What is the chromosomal aberration that is seen to be existing? Now all of these dimensions of chromosomal aberrations can be understood by karyotype analysis. Can be understood by karyotype analysis. And what is the criticism with karyotype analysis? It can only talk about numerical aberrations, it can never detect structural aberrations. It can only talk about the numerical aberrations, but it can never detect the structural aberrations. Now the structural aberrations is one major problem that we generally see in this context, right? So that is one shortcoming with respect to karyotype analysis, right? So that has to be written in this particular question. Next, when you look at 3b, again a simple question. Now one dimension that can be discussed, again be extremely careful whenever you are talking about these aspects. Now the structure of this particular answer is how I am going to define what is urbanization. Then once you define urbanization, talk about the characteristic features of urbanization. Once you discuss about the characteristic features of urbanization, you are going to discuss about what is the impact on family. Now whenever you are discussing about impact of family, I can discuss about what is the structural aspect and what is the functional aspect. Now in the context of functional aspect, we see two people categorically talking about the impact of urbanization. One is the Talcott-Parson. Right, Talcott-Parson categorically talks about what are the changing functionalities of a particular family with respect to urbanization. And Talcott-Parson's student are Merton. Right, both of them categorically talk about what are the changing functions with respect to urbanization. Urbanization on family. And in fact, Merton categorically talks about primary functions and secondary functions. And he says diminishing of primary functions and increase of secondary functions is what is one common impact that is seen because of urbanization. So that dimension has to be spoken in this context, right? Now always remember, my dear, in anthropology, in socio-cultural, whenever you are writing, ensure that you have ample amount of thinkers. Now when you don't have thinkers and when you randomly write like general studies, you are not going to score more. That is any given day, because now one major problem that we see is whatever sources most of you follow, you see that you hardly have any thinker which is present. Manak thinkers ante 6 chapters, but we don't go anything beyond that, right? So you please understand, socio-cultural will also have some contribution from the side of sociologists, right? So that dimension has to be kept in mind, and have some short notes with respect to these dynamics which are seen. Now when you look at last, third question, discuss the contemporary challenges in fieldwork and anthropological research. Now what contemporary challenges, my dear? Now they are unnecessarily using the word contemporary challenges. Don't you think so? That is just a bait, right? UPSC wants to trouble you. It is not necessary. Contemporary challenges, previous challenges, every time it is the same. Now in the context of growth of fieldwork, what do we observe? We see 3 different phases to be existing. One was pre-Malinowskian, then Malinowskian, and post-Malinowskian. In the context of pre-Malinowskian, what do we see? Majorly it was more armchair anthropologists who were existing. Then in the context of Malinowskian phase, we fundamentally see participant observation came into the picture. Post-Malinowskian, one major revolution that happened in the context of anthropological field of research was the feminist anthropologists started coming into the picture, right? That was one major change which happened post-Malinowskian. But when you look at the contemporary phase, now when you look at the contemporary phase, we are in the era of autoethnography. We are in the era of autoethnography. This is the contemporary phase. And when you look at the autoethnography, especially during COVID, what happened? That many anthropologists started doing research on themselves. And many anthropologists considered their house as their field work. And they started doing the necessary changes. In fact, some branch of anthropology started emerging to a larger extent during COVID. That was what was called as media anthropology. And when we see media anthropology, people were fundamentally considering social media as a field work. And they were understanding, there is one book which has been written called Internet Celebrities. And in Internet Celebrities, their fundamental understanding was that how are these social media influencers gaining the influence? That was the field work that was done. So that is what is, we are in the era of autoethnography which has to be seen. Now in this context, what are the major challenges which are existing with respect to field work? One major challenge is in the context of the authenticity of the data, the objectivity of data, the reliability of data, the privacy of data. Now all of these dimensions are seen to be a major issue that is existing in the context of the contemporary fieldwork. It is not only contemporary, my dear. In fieldwork we have these major issues which is seen. The ethicality, the objectivity, the reliability, the privacy dimension of it, right? And more than anything, it is costly. It is costly, it is time taking, right? So those perspectives have to be discussed in this. Now,